start first by introducing something which is different from the previous videos that I have been working on. This video is going to be about what's called translation assessment. And this is something that many assess translation, but they don't know how to actually assess it properly, or what are the criteria they should be using. This is something that I need to be talking about as well. So in other words, I will be talking about translation assessment, but with a certain criteria, which may not actually apply all the time to every text that you come across. But then again, it's not that it fits with some texts. In other words, the criteria may fit not all the elements under my criteria will be relevant to one text. There might be some elements that are relevant to one text, or some standards that are relevant to a text. Now, let's first look at the criteria which I have actually put in, and let's have a look at it and see what kind of elements or what kind of standards or criterion that you need to be looking at and using when you are assessing translation, because translation is not that easy to assess. And I'm talking about here translation, not interpreting. Interpreting is a different kettle of fish, if you like. It's a different thing than how to assess, interpreting. Because interpreting in the first place is something that is really different style of analysis, different style of assessment, different style of evaluating. You cannot evaluate it at the textual level, in other words, a linguistic level rather. You will have to look at it from different angle. That is for the interpreting. But what I'm talking about today is about a text which I have selected. Actually, I came across, to be honest with you, what has been interesting is that this particular text is actually by a student whose teacher I know very well, Abdel Jabbar Awayed. He's a very good close friend of mine, and the student is praising his teacher for teaching him translation and how to do translation. Now, that has attracted my attention, actually, in a way, to look at one of the texts that this student, who is, I think now he's a lecturer somewhere, I'm not sure, maybe in Jordan or somewhere. I don't need to mention names, but I have mentioned only Jabbar Awayed, because he's actually Awayed, because he's my colleague from a long time ago. We're talking about decades ago, shall we say. He might even not remember me then. Now, let's move on and see the text that I have actually come across. And what I have done is that I'll show you first the criteria, or each criterion. We'll go through them, and then we will assess the text. Let's have a look. Now, of course, here in this text that you will be looking at, you will find that the text, I'm just trying to sort of get the text, all of it, in my camera here, so that it will be easily seen as a whole text. Now, so that no words are missing. This is it. This is how I should be looking at it, maybe a little bit more. All right. So now, with this text that you can see is really a text that is I have chosen for this. Let me just see if the lighting gets better. If I put it this way. No, maybe not. So we'll leave it this way. Now, this text is really interesting that I will read. But first, the criteria. Word choice, cohesion. And what I mean by cohesion, I mean by it sentence structure, tenses, referencing, which is co-reference, participants, who is doing what, diacritics, which is pointing words like this and these and those and here and I and we. These are diacritics, and conjunctions, and that's under cohesion. Then in the assessment, I will be looking at coherence, which is to do with theme and rhyme. And theme, of course, is a known concept, and rhyme is the new concept in each of the sentences. So you've got new information, old information. Theme will be old information, and rhyme will be new information. And then, of course, it's important also as a criterion to look at the text type, which is literary or scientific, informative or evaluative. Whether it's it might not be evaluative, because it might be informative but not evaluative. And then the genre, whether it's formal style used or informal, geographical, temporal, discourse or aspect of discourse, field of discourse, which is also important. The field of discourse is just as important here. And of course, there is the mode of discourse and tenor of discourse. And finally, there are two other criteria, which is translation brief. And in a translation brief, here you decide on the translation approach that you should be using, whether it's going to be functional, that is to do with the purpose of the translation, or you're looking at literal approach. So which one are you going for? So these are really most important criteria that I have come across, or I just feel that are relevant. Now, of course, somebody might say, okay, well, this is your personal preference. Yes, it is my personal preference, but again, it gives you a good idea to look at when you are assessing a text, translated text, to look at word choice, to look at the cohesion, grammar, structure, to look at coherence, which is to do with theme and rhyme, the connection of the concepts, how the concepts are holding together coherently. Text type, whether it's literary or scientific, whether it's informative or evaluative text, and the genre. Then the translation brief, which can help in choosing whether you want to choose in your own translation which approach. There are quite a few approaches: linguistic, functional, literal approach in translation. Now let's look now at the actual text, which I have been trying to actually analyze. Now here is the text, and what I have done, let's look at the English first. Of course, this is the English text here, and this English text is the source text, okay? This is the source text, which I am looking at. I'll read it very quickly. A new hearing aid is now available for some hearing impaired people. This device uses a magnet to hold the detachable sound processing portion in place. Like other aids, it converts sound into vibrations, but it is unique in that it can transmit the vibrations directly to the magnet and then to the inner ear. This produces a clearer sound. The new device will not help all hearing impaired people, only those with a hearing loss caused by infection or some other problem in the middle ear. It will probably help no more than 20% of all people with hearing problems. Okay, those people who have persistent ear infections, however, should find relief and restored hearing with a new device. That is really the original text. Now, what I have done with this original text, by the way, is I have got some translation of it, and this translation of it that I have is from Reversal. So the English is this one, and I think you need to take a shot of the English, and then you have the Reversal copy. Now the reversal copy, the first, which is TT1, what I mean by TT1, target text number 1. Here I put the English text in Reverso, which is one of the well-known websites where it translates machine translation. And it's given me this text here, which is جهاز سمعي جديد متاح الآن لبعض الأشخاص ضعاف السمع يستخدم هذا الجهاز مغناطيسا لتثبيت جزء معالجة الصوت القابل للفصل في مكانه. مثل المساعدات الأخرى فإنه يحول الصوت إلى اهتزازات، لكنها فريدة من نوعها من حيث أنها يمكن أن تنقل الاهتزازات مباشرة إلى المغناطيس ثم إلى الأذن الداخلية. هذا ينتج صوت أوضح. لن يساعد الجهاز الجديد جميع الأشخاص ضعاف السمع، فقط أولئك الذين يعانون من ضعف السمع الناجم عن العدوى أو مشكلة أخرى في الأذن الوسطى. من المحتمل أن لا يساعد أكثر من 20% من جميع الأشخاص الذين يعانون من مشاكل السمع. ومع ذلك يجب على الأشخاص الذين يعانون من التهابات الأذن المستمرة أن يجدوا الراحة واستعادة السمع بالجهاز الجديد. Now, of course, if we look at this, what is difficult is just معالجة الصوت القابل للفصل في مكانه, which doesn't make sense. It's very literal translation. مغناطيسا لتثبيت جزء معالجة الصوت فقط. هذا الجزء الذي يمكن فصله عن الجهاز مثلا. يعني ممكن مثل المساعدات الأخرى. I think the word مساعدات is not really clear. You would have to say مثل السماعات الأخرى. وجهاز سمعي جديد ممكن نقول سماعة جديدة يعني متاحة الآن لبعض الأشخاص. أوكي، فإنه يحول الصوت إلى اهتزازات أو إلى ذبذبات. ماشي، لكنها فريدة من نوعها. شو هي الفريدة من نوعها؟ لا، هنا الباك ريفرنس اللي هو ريفرنسنج لكنها. مين هي لكنها؟ يعني الاهتزازات ولا المساعدات؟ إذا لكنه طبعا هو بيتحدث عن الجهاز أو السماعة. لكنها هذه السماعة فريدة من نوعها من حيث أنها يمكن أن تنقل الاهتزازات مباشرة إلى المغناطيس ثم إلى الأذن الداخلية. وهذه ما يساعد على تحسين الصوت يعني مباشرة. فقط أولئك الذين يعانون من ضعف السمع الناجم عن العدوى أو مشكلة أخرى في الأذن الوسطى يستفيدوا من هذا هذه السماعة. من المحتمل لا تساعد هذه السماعة أكثر من 20% من جميع الأشخاص الذين يعانون من مشاكل السمع. ومع ذلك يجب على الأشخاص الذين يعانون من التهاب الأذن المستمرة، مش المستمرة، من التهابات الأذن المتكررة مثلا، وليست المزمنة، المتكررة وليست المستمرة، حتى يجدوا أن يرتاحوا أو يشعروا بالارتياح لاستعادة سمعهم باستخدام هذه السماعة الجديدة. هذا بالنسبة لأول نص. When we go to the first text, when we go to the second text, which is here, you find that here it's very much the same as the first one. يتوفر الآن جهاز سمعي جديد. Again, سماعة جديدة is better. يستخدم مغناطيسا لتثبيت جزء معالجة الصوت. هذا الجزء الذي يمكن فصله عن السماعة. مثل السماعات الأخرى فإنه يحول الصوت إلى اهتزازات. لكن هذه السماعة فريدة من نوعها أيضا. لكنها هنا الباك ريفرنس اللي هو الإشارة إليه ممكن تكون لكنها مقصود بها الاهتزازات، وهي ليست الاهتزازات، لكنها السماعة يعني هي الفريدة من نوعها باعتبارها لديها القدرة على نقل الذبذبات مباشرة للمغناطيس ثم إلى الأذن الوسطى، وينتج عن ذلك صوت أكثر وضوحا. عن هذا لن يساعد جميع الأشخاص، إنما يساعد فقط أولئك الذين يعانون من ضعف السمع بسبب العدوى أو بعض المشاكل الأخرى في الأذن الوسطى. من المحتمل أن لا يساعد أكثر من 20% من جميع الأشخاص الذين يعانون من مشاكل في السمع. ومع ذلك يجب أن يشعر الأشخاص الذين يعانون من التهابات الأذن المستمرة المتكررة، يعني ما هي التهابات مستمرة؟ أن يشعروا بالارتياح لاستعادة سمعهم، وذلك باستخدام الجهاز أو السماعة الجديدة. نأتي إلى الترجمة التي أتى بها طالب من طلاب الأستاذ الدكتور عبد الجبار عويد زميلي. نجد أن هذه الترجمة هي أنا أفضلها، وأنا أجد فيها الكثير. I find this translation that is actually really good translation, even though it has got some additions that are included, but there is some sort of functionality or functional approach being used. طبعا, just going back to what I said earlier about the criteria, and we will see that in a minute how that criteria is applied, how these criteria are applied here. بإمكان بعض الأشخاص من ذوي الإعاقة السمعية أن يتخلصوا اليوم من إعاقتهم مع جهاز جديد للسمع طرح حديثا في الأسواق، ويتميز هذا الجهاز بأنه جاء من قطعتين: الأولى وحدة معالجة الصوت، والثانية مغناطيس يستخدم لتثبيت تلك الوحدة في مكانها. وكغيره من أجهزة السمع الأخرى، يعمل هذا الجهاز الجديد على تحويل الصوت إلى ذبذبات، لكنه ينفرد عن غيره في أنه يمكنه نقل تلك الذبذبات مباشرة إلى المغناطيس فالأذن الداخلية، وبهذه الطريقة يصبح بمقدور المستخدم سماع الأصوات بدرجة أكثر وضوحا. فهو يقتصر على خدمة الأشخاص الذين فقدوا سمعهم نتيجة إصابتهم بالالتهابات أو بأي مشكلة أخرى في الأذن الوسطى، وهذا يعني أن شريحة المستخدمين لن تزيد نسبتهم على 20% من مجموع الأشخاص الذين يعانون من مشاكل في السمع. أما بالنسبة لمن يعاني من التهابات مزمنة في الأذن، فلا شك أنهم سيجدون الراحة لاستعادتهم السمع مع هذا الجهاز الجديد. Now, this is the human translation. Now, this human translation I have analyzed and I have written some points on it. Let's look at the English first and see what kind of points in the English we have here. Now, for example, in the English, as you can see, there are certain words like now available for some hearing impaired, and then the word detachable, and of course the word vibrations, and the but, which is conjunction, unique, this, which is a deictic word, which is a pointing word, probably, and also persistent hearing infections, and also the word however, and the word should, and the word relief. I want to comment on these words in particular once we see all these commentary that's happening or that I have do on the other part. Now here in this part, بإمكان الأشخاص بعض الأشخاص. This is to do with the participants. Who are the participants in this text? They are بعض الأشخاص من ذوي الإعاقة السمعية. We see that he has added أن يتخلصوا اليوم من إعاقتهم, that they will get rid of their own disability today. This is an addition by the translator. مع جهاز جديد للسمع طرح حديثا، طرح passive which is not there in the original. حديثا في الأسواق. كلمة في الأسواق is also added. And then we have the word ويتميز هذا الجهاز بأنه جاء من قطعتين. كلمة جاء من قطعتين يعني كلمة جاء ما حلوة كمستخدمة. And then there is also غيره من أجهزة السمع اللي هي كلمة aids. كلمة aids التي وردت استخدم أجهزة السمع. وكلمة vibrations استخدم كلمة ذبذبات. ولكنه ينفرد عن غيره، إنه أضاف عليها عن غيره, which is excellent. I mean, this is what you need to be doing. So this translator I believe he's a lecturer, I think in Jordan or something, has got this kind of sense of contextuality. In other words, you add what is supposed to be in the target text. يعني we can't say the word ينفرد دون أن نضع كلمة عن غيره. يعني it comes together. So that's a good thing. في أنه يمكن and then also بهذه الطريقة كلمة this. Okay, كلمة this يعني or it وبهذه الطريقة يعني أضاف كلمة وبهذه الطريقة which is not in English. لو نظرنا للإنجليزي ما في بهذه الطريقة. It will probably بهذه الطريقة. هنا في العربي جابها بشكل أضبط وبشكل أدق وأصح. دقيقة حتى أغلق الباب حتى لا يكون هناك ضجيج في الخلفية. دقيقة. Okay, so إذا وبهذه الطريقة يصبح المقتول. This is I love this. يعني هنا وبهذه الطريقة أعطى نوع من الكوهيجن وأعطى نوع من الكوهيرنس إلى حد كبير كمان. يعني ربط الأفكار أكثر وبهذه الطريقة يصبح مقدور المستخدم. طبعا المستخدم participant وبعض الأشخاص من ذوي الإعاقة السمعية. لاحظوا أن هنا participant شوية اختلف إلى حد ما. يعني المستخدم the user of this device, whereas here some of the people who are visually impaired. He is addressing them in any case. In any case, he is addressing them. But then, even though he is addressing them, we are still in the situation where we understand the word مستخدم. يعني هون it's called co-referencing. يعني استخدم أكثر من إشارة لجهة معينة. Let me close the door again, this door here, so it will not give any more noise. فإذا هنا تبرز مهارة المترجم. This is where the skill of the translator, where he's using co-reference. In other words, he's referring to the same people in two different ways. I would say أجهزة السمع هنا. I would say when he says جهاز جديد, طبعا هو ما حط كلمة سمع هنا بس حطها هنا which is good. لكن طبعا يعني جهاز أنا بتصور كان أفضل، لربما كان موفقا أكثر لو أنه استخدم كلمة سماعة جديدة، لكانت أفضل بكثير من جهاز جديد للسمع. سماعة جديدة. وممكن نقول هنا إذا وقت نغير نحن when we are editing, when we are evaluating and we are suggesting، ممكن نقول جهاز أو سماعة جديدة طرحت حديثا في الأسواق مع طرح سماعة جديدة حديثا في الأسواق. أو يعني هذه النقطة. النقطة الثانية مهمة جدا و I like it very much، ولو أنه كان في fronting بالثيم and ريم اللي حكينا عنه من قبل، لأنه هو بدأ على خلاف ما كتبه بالإنجليزي. بالإنجليزي بدأ بال a new hearing device، هكذا بدأ new hearing device. بدأ new hearing device is available for some hearing impaired people. But when you go to the English Arabic بدأ بال impaired، بدأ بال some hearing impaired people، يعني قلب بالأسلوب، وهذا مقبول، يعني هذا ما في مشكلة أبدا أبدا. طبعا هو يحاول أن يركز أكثر على فائدة الإنسان من الجهاز على أنها أكثر أهمية من الجهاز، ولكن طبعا النص الأصلي يركز على السماعة وليس على الناس الذين عندهم إعاقة في السمع. فيعني الفرق مختلف بين الأمرين. ننتقل للأمر الآخر، فهو يقتصر. الآن كلمة فهو هنا هذه مشكلة فيها، إشكالية كبيرة، لأنه كلمة هو تعود إلى المستخدم وممكن أن تعود إلى الجهاز، وهو هون يقتصر. فهو يقتصر هو لا يقتصر على المستخدم، يعني هو لا يقصد من كلمة فهو المستخدم، إنما يقصد من ورائها كلمة الجهاز. فهنا وقع المترجم، يعني هنا كان يجب أن يقول فالجهاز يقتصر استخدامه أو يقتصر استخدام هذا الجهاز على الأشخاص، أو يخدم هذا الجهاز الأشخاص الذين فقدوا سمعهم نتيجة إصابتهم كذا كذا كذا. يعني هنا وقع إلى حد ما المترجم. طبعا هذا لا يعني ضرورة أننا يجب أن نقول، لأن هي طبعا في كثير there are lots of people who say about translation they always criticize more. It's a critique that I'm bringing here, not criticism. So I'm trying to improve this and build on this translation rather than criticize it badly, and that's what most people try to do. When they see a translation, straight away you find them, they are very aggressively criticizing it, and that is why it becomes like a thankless job for the translator, a thankless job, because nobody praises the wonderful style that's been used. A lot of work is gone into this kind of translation, and I'm saying that not only because it is done by a human translator, it's because it has got an effort. There is an effort there. There is a kind of shall we say, it's a functional translation here. Functional because of the way that he has molded the text in the target text, the Arabic text, compared to the Reverso and Google, which we have seen earlier, the two translations. This translation is much, much better. And we wish that the AI would reach this point, so that translators or human translators start to do editing only, or post-editing, or what's called post-editing of what machine translation does, or CAT does. CAT means computer assisted translation. فهو يقتصر على خدمة. إذن هنا وقع فيها، لكن وقع يعني دون أن يدري أنه وقع بهذا الجانب. يبدو أن الكمبيوتر قد وقف عندنا هنا. أيوة. فهو يقتصر على خدمة الأشخاص الذين فقدوا هذه، وهذا يعني أن شريحة المستخدمين، لاحظ كلمة شريحة حلوة، كلمة يعني أضاف كلمة جميلة لهذه، وإن كانت هناك قال أنه it will probably help no more than 20%. هنا قال شريحة لن تزيد نسبتهم على، وهو طبعا نسبتهم كان يمكن أن يقول نسبتها لنسبة الشريحة، لكن هو ممكن يأخذها من الناحية اللفظية أو من الناحية المعنى أو من ناحية اللفظ. فهو أخذها من ناحية المعنى وأضافها لنسبتهم، يعود على كلمة المستخدمين. أنا كنت أفضل أن يقول، وهذا يعني أن شريحة المستخدمين لن تزيد، لأن هي الشريحة تزيد نسبتهم على، هي التي لن تزيد نسبتهم ممكن المستخدمين على 20 من مجموع الأشخاص الذين، من مجمل الأشخاص الذين يعانون من مشكلات في السمع. أما بالنسبة لمن يعاني، لاحظ كلمة أما اللي هم however. شوف الآن يعني هو عمل كونتراست هنا، عمل كونتراست بين two points, two people, two groups of people. We have one group of people who are suffering from hearing impairment, and there are others, and due to some infection which is very recurrent in the ear, middle ear, and also that is what he's trying to. It will probably help no more than blah 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 blah, and then those people who have persistent. Let me just go back to this. And those people who have persistent, the problem is I cannot Okay, I'm trying to get it into to see you to see it better this way. So you see, those people who have persistent ear infection, however, should find relief. Okay, should find relief and restored hearing with new device. Okay, so this is the should find relief. أما هو طبعا أضاف كلمة أما بالنسبة، يعني لو نرجع للنص الأصلي، أما بالنسبة لمن يعاني من الالتهابات المزمنة في الأذن ما لهم فلا شك no doubt should هو طبعا حط should هون فلا شك أنهم يستجدون الراحة. أنا بقول ممكن أقول فلا طبعا هو بالجملة اللي قبلها كان في كلمة probably which is not been added ولعلها تعني ولعلها بدل وهذا يعني ولعلها يعني أفضل من أنها لن تزيد لعلها لن تزيد بالنسبة 20% لعلها لن تزيد it will probably help no more than. فإذا هنا فلا شك أنهم سيجدون الراحة لاستعادة السمع مع هذا الجهاز. أنا كلمة مع ما عجبتني باستخدامي لاستعادة سمعهم لاستعادة سمعهم باستخدام هذه I will try to bring you closer. Thank you very much for highlighting this exam. Interpreting and translation. Thank you very much, Iksan. And I hope that you can see it now a bit better in terms of that, because I mean, the problem is I cannot focus it more than this. I'm trying to get as many words in the shot as possible, and that is what it is. Now, of course, with this in mind, because I'm taking it from computer and I cannot take it as a shot, that's why. And then if I go to the English, and I'm just going to make the English closer, and thank you very much for highlighting the fact that it's not clear. But in the English, I'm trying to sort of get you the English, all of it. I'm going to actually just close. I'm just going to keep quiet for a bit and try to show you all the different texts that I have read earlier. We have three texts actually, target texts. One from Reverso, which is here, okay, and which I tried to make it closer so you can see it. And this Reverso, which is of course from the computer kind of translation, assisted, or you can say machine translation even. And the other one which I have actually come across and put into Google, and I've seen it in this way as well. Of course, in both cases, which is TT1 and TT2, I have noticed that they're not a bad kind of copy, really, but see, my device does not rotate, unfortunately, and it's telling me that I cannot rotate my device or my camera while I'm actually doing that. I hope that you can actually see this Ihsan Fakir. Ihsan Fakir. Now, thank you very much, Ihsan. Would you like to ask any questions? I'm just sort of showing you here the text, and this is the human text, which I have actually analyzed, and you can see there are some things in the analysis. For example, there are things to do like سماعة جديدة, for example, in the vocabulary. المستخدم, which is a participant or the user, and then those who are with difficulty in hearing or disability of hearing. And then we have also the passive voice طرحت and تستخدم, يستخدم وطرحت, ضمير المجهول. These are the passive voice used in the target text, but not in the original text. And also, if you look at what I have highlighted in the English here, you will find that, let me just, maybe I get it to get the English to be a bit clearer, what I have highlighted in this text about hearing device, you can see that there is now available. And the كلمة now available, this expression is translated حديثا في الأسواق. حديثا في الأسواق أو في المتناول, which is quite good. Also detachable لتثبيت تلك الوحدة في مكانها على أساس أنه هي لا تثبت إلا بالمغناطيس. It's not going to be attached or firmly put in place except with a magnet. So يستخدم المغناطيس يستخدم لتثبيت تلك الوحدة. And it's beautiful that he added the word تلك الوحدة, يعني وحدة المعالجة. ما تلك الوحدة عودة إلى المعالجة. يعني في ترابط جميل جدا في الترجمة العربية هنا. There's a lot of beautiful coherence that's happening in there when he says تلك الوحدة أي وحدة المعالجة. فهنا في co-referencing أو back referencing was very good. He managed to get it right. But when it comes to here فهو يقتصر على خدمة الأشخاص, فهو هنا very ambiguous because it can refer back to the user, because he says he is or it is. In English it's not clear, but in Arabic it is clear because the word فهو is referring to masculine and it might refer to the user. In English the general address is in the masculine. So it can refer to the user, this فهو, and it also can refer to the actual device. I would like to see if there is anybody who would like to be now commenting or even asking me questions about these two texts, which I have actually managed to find, which are really of interest to, I'm sure, to the... I'm sorry that my screen is moving, and that's because I'm trying to focus it more on the actual, on the screen, so that it will be very clear what to do. I'm just going to go back now to normal and to me and see what I am been actually telling you about this. I have noticed that this translator is actually trying to create this kind of, shall we say, coherence by referring to more than one, the same element twice, as in تلك الوحدة ووحدة المعالجة المستخدم شخص ذو الإعاقة السمعية, and these are all co-referencing, which is good, which creates a very solid text and very important text to use. But then that, having said that, that doesn't mean that there are no negative points in this text, but these negative points are can be easily recoverable if the actual translator have actually paid more attention to the back referencing, because back referencing is one of the things. I liked the way he has juxtaposed the people, those who have got infection, ear infection in the middle ear, and those who will be benefiting that when he says أما بالنسبة, which means he's trying to contrast. That's very, very good. I really like this kind of style. Now, of course, I'm not comparing here between machine translation and human translation in terms of the quality, but I'm just trying to show you that how, just give you another aspect of this translation of this text via reversal, which some people do use reversal, some people do use Google. Just a curiosity, out of curiosity, I've put it in to check and see how they will do it, and I just presented it to you so that you'll be aware of it, but you will see also how I was aware of these criteria that are being used. And the criteria is relating to grammar or syntax, which is to do with the passive and active, how he has moved the rhyme and theme with regards to the actual new device, which is becoming like it is the theme, and put it. He delayed it and put first, prioritized or fronted the actual ream, which is the people who are going to be, or some of the people who are visually or not visually hearing, that are impaired with regards to their hearing. I hope that I have actually been explaining things in a very clear way. This is just a text which I come across by pure chance, and I thought I'd like to share it with you as a kind of showing you some of the assessment. Of course, I can't go through all these, but you can see that this kind of text is actually informative and it's not evaluative, because there aren't many adjectives and adverbs used as much. We've got the word directly, got the word unique and detachable, and new. That's the only adjectives we found. The word hearing is another, but it's adjective to hearing problems, for example. But that is not really an adjective as descriptive. This text is more of a text that is advertising for a new device, so it's not literary. There are no images as such, and it's not evaluative. It's not evaluating as much. It's basically bringing figures, facts, and figures. That's all. I hope that you've enjoyed or have actually learned something from this, as I have done, and I have highlighted these just to be brief. And it takes a long time to actually assess via the criteria that I've given you, but I've given you an idea of what are the criteria that you use, what are the criteria that you should be using when you are assessing any translation. I hope that everybody who has watched this have benefited, even those who will be in the future watching it. I hope that they will benefit as well. Well, I'll wait for any questions because I'm live at the moment, if there are any questions, and I'll be more than happy for that. Okay, Iksan, Doctor, I was wondering if you offer a certificate course in interpreting and translation, as I am at the advanced level of Arabic. Now, of course, with regards to that, offering a certificate course in interpreting and translation, well, that is, I can offer a course to improve your interpreting and translation, but there are two different, you are talking about to do two different tracks, okay? أو عن أمرين اثنين مختلفين تماما من ناحية التدريب. يعني when we are training you as an interpreter, it's a completely different course from training you as a translator. Because you're at an advanced level in Arabic, which is excellent, it's excellent to learn Arabic and improve Arabic. There are many programs in Saudi Arabia, in the Arab world, where they are actually using that. But it'll be two courses, not one, okay? Because I can't actually do that. It says here, how about keywords? Can we back reference them in different terms? Wouldn't that damage clarity? No, in actual fact, it does not damage clarity if the words that you are using, these keywords that you are using, are clearly referring to the same thing. I'll give you an example of this, of co-referencing. For example, you might say, about me now, you can just say the teacher who's wearing green. And you can say Dr. Khuddro. And you can say Ahmad. You can say this male teacher. All of these are co-references, and they are making the text a little bit more colorful, shall we say. It makes it more interesting, rather than just say Dr. Khuddro said Dr. Khuddro, whereas you say sometimes the professor, sometimes you say the teacher wearing green or whatever. So the teacher with glasses. So all of these will be giving the text a little bit of vitality, shall we say, a little bit more active, shall we say, form, rather than repeating the same thing. I mean, you can say that sometimes it works, like for example, when we say the university, the university, the university, but it becomes very boring when you're repeating in the same text, the university, the university, the university, for example, or the teacher, the teacher, the teacher. But if you just change every now and then from teacher to male who's wearing a green and so on, it makes your text more lively, more active. And I think that is really one of these things. Now, going back to your interpreting and translation, I think you can do a course in that with me, but you need to be you need to be more focusing. There is one on translation, one on interpreting, and you cannot mix both of them. I cannot give you a course which has got interpreting and translation at the same time, because two tracks. Okay. We Inside Fever, and he's saying thank you, you're most welcome. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I wish you all the best, everyone. Have a nice day and take care.